Hi there, Miranda Alt here with the Miranda Alt team and Keller Williams Success Real Estate with your Monday market update for Monday, June 24th, 2024. Thanks so much for watching. Taking a quick look at our Montgomery County numbers for the last 7 days, we had 147 new listings, 150 go under contract, 103 closed sales, 37 price changes, 1 expired, and 50 currently on the private network. Now, I dug a little deeper into some of those numbers to get a clearer picture of what's actually going on. And of those 147, 9 new listings, remember sometimes I talk about that they're double kind of counted because some of those have already gone under contract. So we actually have 39 of those 147 that are listed as new. They are already under contract or closed. Now, some of you have asked me, why does it sometimes seem like a home sells before it even ever hits the market? Well, the reason is because we have that private network, that number that I talk about, that we have 50 currently on that in the Montgomery County area. Well, what that is, it's like a pocket listing, if you've ever heard of it. It means that you can, it's a way that we can list a property without it actually going to market. So let's say the homeowner has a bunch of projects that they've got to get done before they can go to market, but they want to list. And they want to let people who are in the market for a home in their neighborhood. Maybe there's somebody that's looking specifically in that neighborhood, specifically for their type of house. We let them know, hey, it's coming. It's not ready, but it's coming. And someone might call and say, I don't care what the house looks like. I want to see it. I might want to buy it. That is exactly what I'm looking for. And we go, okay. And sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. Some private listings allow showing, some don't. It also allows the realtor to be able to put a sign in the yard. With a coming soon rider, you cannot put a sign in the yard if the home is not listed for sale on the MLS somewhere. That is in order for us to be license compliant. So if we want to put a sign in the yard, we have to list it somewhere. So that's another kind of reason why we have the private network. But sometimes, we might show a property on the private network and they might get a contract and they might not have to even go to market. So that's why sometimes you'll see those homes that hit the market and it seems like, oh my gosh, it's already sold. How'd that even happen? It sold in like a minute. Well, because it actually never was listed. So that's how that kind of happens. So we have 39 that are already under contract or closed that were listed as new. And then here's another interesting thing. Some people are asking me, they're saying, I really want to sell my home, but I can't move and buy my next home without selling my other home. And with homes selling so fast, how do you do this? Well, it is difficult to navigate, but we do have obviously a system that we go through in order to help people with that process, because that's on a lot of people's minds. And I looked into, of the 150 that went under contract this last week, how many of them are actually accepting a home sale or a home close contingency, and that's only 6. So of 150 that are currently under contract, only 6 of them have a home sale or home close contingency. Now, that does not mean that all the rest of those buyers don't have a home to sell. A lot of them might not, because they might be first-time home buyers, but many of them probably do have a home to sell, but they're not making their purchase contingent on their sale. Because in this market, what we're encouraging a lot of our buyers to do is get qualified to carry both homes at the same time. Now, nobody wants to own 2 homes. And in 2008 or 10, that would have been a terrible idea because we didn't know if homes were going to sell. However, in this market, we know your home is going to sell. Every home is going to sell in this market. It's just a matter of what price. And you might have some issues with the condition that you might have to address. But every home is going to sell. And so, therefore, we are comfortable saying, okay, Mr. Buyer / seller, Mr. Client, let's find your next house so you know where you're going. And then we will have your house all ready to go. We're going to get it totally ready so that when you find your house, we're going to be ready to put your house, when we find your next house, we're going to be ready to put your current house on the market. And so that we do both kind of simultaneously, but the purchase is not contingent on the sale. So that's kind of how we're navigating this market. It is difficult to do, but it is doable. So a lot of people come to me and they say, how do you even move in a market like this? And I can understand if you are a consumer and you are not in the real estate world, how this real estate world would seem incredibly difficult to navigate, which it is. But if you have a professional who knows what they're doing, then it is navigable and it actually can be less stressful than you think. But if you're an outsider not looking in on this world, I can understand why it seems like it would be a hot mess. And it's, again, it's difficult, but it's not impossible. We can do it. We can do it quite easily, quite honestly. We have a number of clients under contract right now with homes to sell. Some are contingent on the sales, some are not, but we're navigating it just fine. Another question I get a lot is, who's moving in this market? It seems like there's nothing for sale. It seems like things are selling so fast. How are people doing that? There's a couple things that I want to address. So in this market, we have a lot of people who have been waiting. They've been waiting. They maybe needed to move a couple years ago and they were waiting for prices to come down because it seemed like prices just went so out of control, because they did. They went up. They recovered from the recession very rapidly, which made them feel like they went up really, 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 and they did go up really fast, but they actually didn't go up too high around here. We didn't have a huge skyrocket. Some areas saw prices double. We didn't see that here, but we did see them recover rather quickly, which meant that last year there was a statistic that 𝗨𝗚 Young, of the chief economist of the National Association of Realtors, put out this last week on LinkedIn. He put out a statistic that the average home is now costing people, last year in 2019, it cost the average buyer $1,000 a month to buy the average median sale price home, and now it costs $2,000. So the same home, for a monthly payment, because of the price increase and the increase in the interest rate, it is now costing someone twice what it cost before the pandemic. So that is why people are feeling the pinch. The other side of that coin, though, is that also rents have gone up. So we've seen a rent increase of about 8% a year. That is very difficult for someone to manage if their rent keeps going up. So the benefit of a home is you buy a home and then you get a fixed payment with an appreciating asset. So your payment stays the same, but your value keeps going up and you are paying down that principal. So you're actually getting more and more wealth by owning a home versus paying rent. And people are complaining about the interest rates, and don't forget, rent is 100% interest rate. You are paying down zero principal when you're renting. So these are all things to keep in mind when you're asking yourself who's navigating this market. Another thing I wanted to talk about today was that if you're just paying attention to the headlines, you'll see mixed sort of information. At CNBC this week, they were putting out some information about how sales for May were reported a 0.7% decrease from year over year. So last May, we had less homes sell in this May 2024 than we had in 2023. So if you hear that there's less sales, so the housing market is down, that's what that sort of implies, but yet home prices are the highest they've ever been. We had a record new high for average home sales price in the United States. It was $420,000 in May. So that was an increase again. And so we see prices are up, but sales are down. Well, that's because, yes, it's true. A lot of homeowners, the vast majority of homeowners still are locked in at an interest rate that is lower than what is currently being offered. So therefore, we do have less people moving. So there are less transactions happening nationwide than we would want. But that doesn't mean people aren't moving. It doesn't mean that the housing market is dead. It just means that we don't have a lot of people transacting. But prices are up, which means if you are a homeowner, your equity is up, which is great unless you've taken out a HELOC. We are seeing more and more people taking out HELOCs to pay off things like credit card debt or to pay off car loans and things like that. And sometimes that's a good idea. If your credit card is sky high and you're paying 20% interest, then yeah, you don't want to have that. But it's also not great to take out all the equity of your home because that is your largest asset. So that's kind of a mixed bag. But if you are in a situation where you are currently paying off your home and not taking out your equity, you're building a tremendous amount of equity, and interest rates will eventually come down. I saw one report yesterday that was talking about the fact that interest rates might start to come down before the Feds even do any of their price cuts. We could see that happen to where just the economy dictates that some of those interest rates start to come down, because remember, mortgage bonds are an investment. And so if they become more valuable because of speculation that we are going to see a dip in the stock market, well, then that would bring interest rates down. We could see that. The Feds do not determine mortgage rates. They determine the prime rate, which is different. Now, they're typically correlated, But we could start to see interest rates come down even before the Feds decide to make any cut. And we know at the end of last year, they said they'd make 3 or 4 cuts. Now they're saying they'll make maybe 1. We don't know even when that will happen, if that will happen. But currently interest rates, they're holding really steady at about 7%, which is historically speaking, that is not a bad rate. Historical average is 8%, so we're still looking good. So the housing market is still doing very strong, doing very well, especially in McHenry County. We do have homes moving. We do have homes selling relatively quickly, and we do see them selling for more money than they did in previous years. So it's a good time to buy or sell. It is difficult to navigate, so give me a call if you have any questions, or if you've been thinking about moving and you're just kind of a little scared, just call me. We can always talk about it. I'm at 815-529-0777 or Miranda Alt Team at gmail.com.